I want to talk a little about change management. I think I already heard that change is constant, change is inevitable. I would like to also add change is become our way of living, and change is also something which we're experiencing day in and day out. I started my change management journey way back in 2006 with the very first project to support change for an ERP SAP implementation in US. From there, the last 18 years, what I have seen in my journey, being part of many transformation and change management programs, it is quite different. Each program is different. I've been part of many large-scale, complex change management programs. Every program, there is something to learn and build on from there. One of the important observation, as for me, I've seen is the significant involvement of leaders in the transformation and change program. That's something which I would like to underline is the amount of leadership involvement in the transformation program. So earlier, the leaders used to sponsor the change program. That's where I've seen it. It could be an ERP implementation or a tech implementation or some organizational changes or some kind of a regulatory changes in the organization, or you can think about some process improvement or cost optimization initiatives where the leaders are playing the role of a sponsor and trying to monitor the change through steerco and other regular reporting structures. But today, that is not true. Today, along with the sponsorship, leader is expected to be at the center of the transformation. Their visible leadership throughout the transformation program is must. It is important for leaders not only being part of the transformation, they are constantly expected to share the impactful, meaningful communications, messages throughout the transformation program. They are expected to role model the new behavior or way of working for the part of the transformation program. So that's why it is very important for us to start the discussion. Leadership connecting to the change management is very, very essential for us, right? So with this, we're going to cover 4 essential elements of it. The first one is the effective leadership. The second one is effective employee engagement. How are we going to consider for the part of transformation? We're also going to talk about how are we building the future leadership for the next wave of transformation. Because it is evolving so fast that whatever we are doing might not be relevant for tomorrow, okay? The last and very important part of it, what kind of strategies, what kind of initiatives we want to be making part of our transformations about well-being of people who are traveling the journey of the transformation, okay? With this, I would like to ask the very first question to Mr. RANGARAJ. How do you define effective leadership during the times of significant transformations? And if you can take some specific examples, what kind of strategies contributed to the success of those transformations?
Thanks, Amresh. Before understanding what is effective leadership, I think we need to put the word transformation, or an easier word is change, to understand what exactly is expected from the leadership to make it effective. If I were to ask, like one day you just go to the office or a factory, wherever you work, and there's an announcement made that starting Monday or starting from this date, this organization is undergoing some changes. Or you may use the word transformation, I believe, is like an euphemism for change. It has got a very positive connotation, but the word change has got a very negative connotation. Those who have experienced it will know, someday if you're on the receiving end and say, organization is going to change from tomorrow, what is the first reaction of the human beings in your organization? It's fear, anxiety, there's uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen to you. Is my job going to be there? Is my roles going to change? Will I have to vacate my corner office? Will I have to relocate to another town, another city, another country? I don't know. So always when an announcement for change, you may call it transformation, but when it's announced, the first reaction of the team or the manpower is no, which is resistance. We know that managements or organizations go for change because of external factors. It could be government regulations, rules, changes. environment, market, competition, or even internal when there's a change in the ownership, change in the management and their working style. This would necessitate a change or transformation of the organization. But the first reaction is, no, I'm not comfortable. So the first and most important part of effective leadership in making sure that transformation happens is build that trust. The person, the last very employee in your organization should trust you when you are leading that change or transformation. Now, how do you build that trust? Most important factor of trust is communication, as you mentioned in your preamble. How do you communicate? And depending on the size of your organization, you could be a multiple location, multi-country location. As a leader, you can't be going to every place and, communicating this. But at the same time, what you should not do is just sending a memo through HR saying that this is the changes and effective this is it. It will not work. You may be able to push it down, but the reactions or the repercussions would be contrary to what you actually want this whole transformation to take place. So the second most important after building trust is communication. Communication has to be transparent. Communication has to be one-on-one. And in today's advanced technology world where you have video calls and video conferences, it is easy to talk one-on-one, face-to-face with an employee at the other end of the world or other end of the town. So you cannot say that it's impossible. So communication. The third aspect, what I would say from my experience, is collaboration, which means getting the buy-in. You need to get the buy-in of your immediate team and the rest of the team. For that, you should be convinced first. When you get the mandate or diktat as a leader that, this is the order of the day because of government regulations or competition or whatever it is that has been decided. Now, you have to be convinced first. Once you are convinced, you need to collaborate. That is, pass on this conviction to your immediate team and the team down the line and involve them in this entire process of change. So coming back to your question, if I were to define what is effective leadership, I would say effective leadership during these times of transformation or significant transformation would involve inspiring and guiding the teams through the entire phase of change, right from the beginning till the end. You need to be there, hand-holding them, guiding them, and inspiring them that this change is for the good, the general good for the company and for you. And most importantly, this should be done in an environment which is conducive and which fosters trust and collaboration. So that, in short, I would say, defines effective leadership during these troubled times. The mantras, as I said, communicate, collaborate, and commit. The third commit, when I come to that, is you need to stay there right from the beginning to the end. You can't be wavering because of external factors as the process of transformation happens, and suddenly you back out or you change your mind or you make course correction is okay, but you can't be drastically running away from the situation. You need to show your commitment. And that conviction is what will get you through effectively the transformation and change that you are aiming for.
Thank you so much, RANGARAJ. I think you touched upon an interesting point, that how people will experience the change, right? Like they go through various emotions, because at individual level, the change is perceived differently because of their comfort and their experiences in the past. So they go through an emotional cycle throughout the change program, which they are part of. And you try to understand those emotionals and support as a leader. That's the first thing which I learned from you. And the second thing is you talked about the change resistance. So change resistance we generally consider at 3 levels, okay? The very first level, we call it as a basic level of resistance, is people are resisting towards any change because the lack of awareness about the change what they have. The moment you start engaging them, communicating them, that you will be able to manage that resistance very well. The second level of resistance, which is basically a little serious one, where this particular change is trying to bring a change in their location, change in their designation, change in their authority, significant change in the role of their job. That resistance is something which is valid. So need to engage them at a different level and try to address that resistance. Otherwise, that resistance continue to exist on the ground. The last level, a small percentage of level, people don't believe in change and they continue to disbelieve, and they will align at the end of it. So that's how we think about change resistance, and we align on that. Thank you so much for the insights you have. I just wanted to check with Mukta and Amit as well. You just want to add on anything to effective leadership? Okay, very good. So then let's move on to the next question. Mukta, I would like to ask you this question. The rate at which the changes which we are seeing and the multiple generations working with us today, it's even more going to get challenges with respect to the preferences, what we had, what they have, generation after generation. And we are living in the era of multi-generation workforce at the moment. So how do you envision the role of leadership evolving over the next 5 to 10 years, especially with the ongoing technological advancement and market shifts, what we are experiencing?
Thanks, Amrish. This is the big question in the room and in the minds of all the leaders, very complex. But I would say that let's divide it into a very simple equation. Okay. I like to give examples and share from my experience being a practitioner. So for me, my job as the CEO or managing director is to make sure that I take the organization to the best that it can be, right, with its limitations and everything. And then on the other side of the equation is my responsibility towards my employees, which is how can I make each employee perform to the best of his or her abilities. Correct? You agree? So it's organization and employees, right? You have to balance that too as a leader. And as you look at the future and even present, you are seeing so many changes in the society, in the technology, generational changes, social changes, demographical changes, AI coming in, right? So that's top of our mind and the question from the audience as well. How will AI change our way of working? And then how do we change as HR professionals or as leaders, right? So there's a lot of change happening on this side. You have to make sure that you are anticipating and proactively planning for that and taking the organization to success, right? The other side, employee side, again, you see a paradigm shift. Sometimes I think it's paradoxical because while we are embracing new technologies, we are getting highly educated, we are getting tech savvy, don't you feel that we are also moving to the fundamentals very fast? We are moving to organic farming. We are going to happiness, right? We are moving away from just jobs to something that we enjoy, right? That concept didn't exist 20 years back. We are making choices whether to work in a corporate, do our own startup. I have inspiration here, and also, or to, really do something, follow our passion, right? Create a job out of our hobby. We are seeing women wanting to contribute outside in jobs, and I'm seeing men wanting to contribute more inside the homes, isn't it? You want to be a better father, you want to be a better homemaker, you want to participate in the creation of happiness in the homes now, which didn't exist 20 years back, right? So, I mean, at the broad level. So these changes, these paradoxical changes, I think we are at an inflection point where human desires and evolution of our motivators is truly evolving. As per the Maslow's theory, we are just really evolving very fast, and the society and technology is also changing very fast, right? So how do you do the intersection? How do you do the balancing of the equation? Is the leaders, making it the job of a leader very complex, and it has multiple layers, and I don't want to simplify it too much. But coming back to the two pillars, organization and employees, the leader of tomorrow is not just a visionary. The leader of tomorrow is not just standing on the stage and saying, this is the vision, this is where we go, and everybody follows, right? The leader of tomorrow is actually going to be a connector. Sometimes I feel this whole connection is what we are missing today in the society. So connection to the vision, connection to the work that you do as an employee, connection of one excellent team to another team. You have ERP transformations. I had Workday, you are familiar as HR. We had Workday launched across the globe. People had several different versions of what it will do to us, right? There was a vision, okay, launch Workday. it was considered an HR thing, okay, a IT thing to launch Workday. People did not even understand on the ground what it's going to do to them, to their jobs, to to what it will do to the organization per se, right? So connection to the larger purpose, what you do today. I remember long time back, I used to speak to one employee who was, the post manager. People who would send couriers, right? This was like 15 years back. And I would ask him, did this message reach the sales force? I was head of sales marketing at that time. He would say, I sent the courier, ma'am, on this day. He'll show me the register. And I thought he has misunderstood his job. Okay? So I said, your job starts and ends when the person receives the message, right? Has the person received the message? Okay. So the moment I started asking those questions, he understood that his job was not a courier guy. His job was to make sure the management messages reach the audience, the sales force. He was playing a much larger role than what he thought he was doing, like sending letters through couriers. And that's why you empower people. That's where you connect employees to the vision, okay? So this role of the chief executive officer is going to be, or leader is going to be connector. Connect to the purpose, connect to each other, connect to the job that you do, connect the teams together, and more importantly, connect to the hearts of the employees. And I mean, last time I shared the story how employees are souls of the organizations, right? So unless you really penetrate those complex layers and connect to each employee, you can shield yourself under this is HR policy, this is corporate policy. But when you see a woman not able to come to office because there is no childcare center near her or the childcare center is closed, where is, empathy there, right? Where is the connection there? So ability to modulate policies, ability to take a more empathetic view towards celebration of this human potential, because that's the only unique differential that is going to stay with us. AI technology will do all the mundane things. It's democratized. Everybody is going to use the same tools and platforms of AI, right? What will differentiate a company will be the talent, the human potential, and how do you leverage that talent? And that's why connection is extremely important, okay? I can sit in my room and say, hire these people, do this thing, bring this change, have Workday, have ERPs, but unless I connect the purpose and connect the people and connect them with me to hear them, to hear their challenges, it's going to remain a machine-led organization which is not going anywhere, okay? So as HR professionals, I think, as this audience is, and the topic is rethink HR and, trust, as Najma said, trust, technology and talent, we must see the changes happening all around, but the role will be to connect, to create culture, right? To make sure that we connect everybody, we create collaboration spaces and real collaboration on the ground, and then lay the foundation for a culture which is allowing this diversity to really blossom into inclusion, okay? So that people are able to speak up. People are able to, this new generation can say, I am not in a mood to work today, okay? That's what I tell my employees. Rather than inventing excuses, if you can just come and say, I'm not in a mood to work today, it's fine, right? Because it's human potential that we are celebrating. And that's where we need to be flexible in terms of policy making, in terms of, being more inclusive, being more empathetic, and being more, I would say, in a mode where we are able to provide individualized services or individualized, empathy to each employee, rather than just taking a one-size-fits-all approach. And I feel that this will be like if you're in music, like a conductor of a music, right, orchestra. So violins and different instruments are playing, and conductor is not playing any instrument. Do you see the conductor? It's just through the actions, he's communicating to hundreds of musicians at a time, and he's bringing the music to life, And this bringing the vision to life is the job of the leader. But he cannot do it alone. He doesn't have that instrument. He has to get the work done through people. And therefore, the tone, the pitch, you see the hands of the, conductor moving up and down. He's elevating the music sometimes, elevating the pitch, sometimes bringing it down. And that's what, the role of a leader is, to kind of motivate people, to kind of bring them together, to silence a few instruments, to uplift a few others, to create a sense of harmony, and then, get that music out. So that's where I see, the job of a leader is going to be. Sorry, it's a long answer, but, that's what I think our roles as leaders should evolve to.
Thank you so much. You shared a lot of insightful thoughts around your experiences. Yeah, I feel I personally now experiencing and hearing a lot about. So I was in one of the conversations. So a very funny thing I would like to share. I was having a conversation. So they had this new person joined in the organization, and there was a situation that he's supposed to travel in a bus. He immediately said that I never traveled in bus. So I can't do this job because I have to travel in a bus on a daily basis, right? So you might come across with such examples, such incidents. There might be his journey so that he never had a chance to be traveling in the bus, right? So we hear new challenges which are not exactly what it used to be in the last 2-3 decades. The challenges are going to continue to exist. How do we want to engage and work with the new generation people? Okay. I just wanted to check quickly with Amit as well as RANGARAJ. You want to add anything with respect to how do we prepare leaders for the upcoming transformations, the waves of transformations?
Preparation of leadership, I don't think there's a written panacea or a formula for this. Mm-hmm. It comes with experience and wisdom and knowledge, and basically the human factor. More than a leader or a robotic leader, you are a human being first. So you need to empathize, put yourself in that person's shoes. Like I said in the beginning, when you announce a change, the first thing, what happens, the feeling is, anxiety. Is my job secure? So that has to be allayed first.
Yep.
Because finally, as Mukta also said, your organization is nothing but a conglomerate of people.
Yeah.
If people are not there and the people are not happy, you don't have an organization, you don't make profits, you're not in business. And as a business leader, then you have failed completely. So I would say the most critical element of a leader is empathy or humanness. You need to be human, first of all. And there I would like to add an example from my own personal experience. We all have gone through this, earth-shattering experience. All of us was the COVID lockdown. It has impacted each one of us in different ways, and our organizations also. And that was, as a leader, that was a big challenge for my role and my industry. I come from the automobile retail industry, which is manpower intensive. And our major costs are on the showrooms. We have fancy showrooms, so rentals and manpower cost. And here was, you could call it a diktat or a mandate or whatever, that after 1 month of closure where zero revenue was generated, but we still had to incur these costs. Now what do we do? I can always shut down the showrooms and come out, but what do I do with the manpower? I can't just tell them one day to go home. I need to retain them, but then I don't have the resources. The revenue is not generated for more than a month. So we had to bite the bullet or swallow the bitter pill, as they say. And we exactly did what I suggested as a strategy, communicate, collaborate, and commit. So we communicated, like, look, this is the environment. We all are affected. The business is affected. And we all need to pitch in. So we had a choice. Either we wait for the company to tell us to go home that they cannot pay us, or we contribute by saying, okay, let's phase it in such a way that we take salary cuts, cut down on costs, and tighten our belts. I'm sure this phase will be over maybe in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and then we'll get back. And when we get back, we'll get back with rewards that will be much more handsome than what you've lost.
Yeah.
But that needed to be communicated.
Yes.
And how will you communicate unless you yourself empathize that, yes, this is what people are going through. Maybe at my level, I still had the fancy of, some resources to fall back on during the time. But down the line, a workshop technician, for example, who earns maybe 15,000, 20,000 a month, if he doesn't get that, he cannot even survive. Yeah. And if you tell him, look, you forfeit your salary for 2 months, so where will he go? So then we took a conscious decision that depending on the hierarchical positioning, the percentage of salary cuts would vary. And below a certain level, we said we will not even cut the salary, we will pay them. And I promised, of course, with the backing of the management, that once the COVID phase is over and we revive the business, whatever has been deducted will be repaid to you. Now, this could be just, statements made and which my team may not have believed it. But that's where, when you say inspirational leadership, thankfully, with whatever my background or my interactions with them in the previous years before COVID, they trusted me and they said, okay, if this guy is saying that it will be done, it will be done. And they stood by me. And although we did a lot of cost cutting and removing of unwanted flab and all these things, when post-COVID, when the business revived again after a year, we repaid every penny that was deducted. And that built the kind of trust and confidence that now we have a reputation in the market. Anything happens, we know this leadership can be trusted, this business can be trusted, even if it means momentary sacrifice. In terms of long term, this is the place to work. And like Mukta said, building on this in future using the various technological tools, this needs to be done. On a lighter vein, Mukta gave an example of what we expect an employee. If he or she says that I don't want to come to work today, let them say that. Otherwise, what usually happens is the same uncle dies every year.
Yeah.
So that's not a really nice thing to happen. It's better that they should feel free to say that yes, today I just don't feel like working, and then maybe the leadership should work on that. Okay, why is he not feeling happy to come, or he or she is not feeling happy to come to work, and work on that and make the environment much more employee friendly. And that will ease any kind of change or transformation that in future that you want to implement. It will be much, much easier to implement.
Thank you so much, RANGARAJ. I think it was very interesting and insightful to know some of your examples and experience. So now I would like to ask Amit. He is an expert from the wellness area. And I would like to ask this question: how can organizations ensure that investments in employee well-being are effective, foster maximum participation, and contribute to the overall improvement of organizational well-being?
Right. So good morning, everyone. I think I'll pass on this question to the crowd first. How many of us get any wellness benefit from our company, maybe a health checkup or any wellness session or anything as such? We can raise our hands and tell. Okay. So I can see almost 25% of the crowd is getting something. Few may be shy not to answer. How many of us out of these 25% have gone for a checkup or and participated into any of the wellness service offered by our company in our premises or outside? Okay. So it means the engagement is now happening. So Amresh, this is the answer to your query first.
Good.
Second, yes, participation is the key to any wellness program, be it health checkup, be it mental wellness, be it financial wellness, also a very topic being spoke about. But said and done, the leadership plays a very important role in fostering and implementing those wellness programs. You must have seen Zomato CEO losing his weight and this becoming a news. Maybe a lot of people in his company must have got inspired and try to follow him. You must have seen him going to the mall and taking a delivery himself, speaking to the ground staff. This must have motivated a lot of us to go and speak to a ground staff and understand what are the ground challenges. Similarly, in wellness also, be it health checkup, be it anything else, if the leaders are not participating, if they are not setting the example in front of the team, people will not come forward, because people either they will feel shy or they say that they don't need it. Because India is not a proactive market in health, it is a reactive market. I have crocin, paracetamol, Desperin, everything at home and I'll take those. But when I will have the real pain, I think it is unbearable, then only I'll see a doctor. Similarly for health checkups also. Until and unless doctor will not prescribe me some test, I will not go to a diagnostic center or to a hospital to get a checkup done. So we have to convert that reactive approach into preventive approach. And if we see the spending happening on the health side is more towards health insurance. And that's again is a reactive piece. That's not a proactive piece. 5% of the claims kill up the complete premium of that the company is invested into. Where on the wellness, it's totally different. So I think companies should think about investing on the wellness for their employees, because that brings a healthy employee at the work, and that's more important than anything else. And it also brings a happy employee at the work. There can be multiple engagement programs, starting from a health checkup to mental wellness to women health to financial wellness and many more. But all these require active participation from everybody to get any definite result out of it to measure whether what the money I've spent on it is bringing something on the table or not. Because these are all statements until and unless there are no proven facts coming with them on the money spent. I'll take an example. For example, a company is spending 1 lakh rupees on the employee health checkup a month. Okay. And let's say 30 people go and get the health checkup done. Is the company evaluating the health record of those 30 people in a summarized manner, not on the personal front? In a summarized manner, are they evaluating? Are they able to sample out that how many of their people are, maybe you can put down as a company-wise, as a department-wise, as a team-wise, as a leader-wise, are they able to demonstrate and understand the impact the employee is having on his health? Maybe somebody working in a plant near the boiler may have a different impact on his health as compared to somebody sitting in office and working on a laptop developing a software. So we need to understand the actual end impact of whatever we are spending through the measurable tools, through the outcomes which we have received, and then that will help us, prepare a better program. Secondly, to run a wellness program and to make it successful, it is very, very important that we take the feedback of the employee before launching the program, what they actually need. Maybe I am not interested in yoga, the company's HR is pushing me to do a yoga session, I will not go. Even if I bring a celebrity yoga trainer here, half of the crowd will go and have chola bhaturas outside, they will not stay here. And that's a true fact, that's with me, that's with everybody. We need to change that. And only HR cannot do that. HR can only communicate, can support, can help, can bring program, can bring partners. Who is the end user? It's not only the HR. It is the employee and their family also. So employee, or rather as an individual, I'll not term employee, rather as an individual, we should look to participate in those programs, at least learn something out of those. Maybe today I may not need it because I'm 25, 26, maybe tomorrow when I'm 45, I may need it. But starting to go to that level of 45 and being healthy as what I am today at 25, I need to work little till that age. If I start something at 45, then it will be another thing. So in money thing also, you must have heard, okay, start a SIP at 20, you are at 40, you will get 1 CR. If you start at 45, you will not be able to make that much of money because the time is not there with you, right? So other ways that you put more money. But in health, you cannot do that. If you have to do gym, you will do it for 1 hour, max 2 hours. You will not do it for the whole day because you're 45 and you need to cover back. So it's very, very important that everybody participates in the way they need to. And HR should take the feedback of the employees before starting or launching any program. One of the must to do and the quick result-oriented thing is health checkups. They should be introduced by every company for their employees, and they can give a definite immediate result to the organization and what they need to plan out. For example, if I have 1,000 people workforce and out of that 18% are diabetic, I'm just quoting an example here, or pre-diabetic, in that range, I may need to look out for some diabetic care program for my employees rather than giving them some yoga or some XYZ session. So I can be more data-driven approach, and I can get better results in the coming years through that project. That's how I look at the wellness piece.
Just want to add that this is so well said, Amit. And personally, I feel it's not an HR thing anymore. It's, employee and leaders and everybody across the organization. And what we should do is create a wellness quotient, which is happiness, health, all-inclusive, mental health, happiness, that's very important. Many a times we come across traditional HR approaches, right? Which is, and not to disrespect anybody here, please pardon me if you interpret it like that, but my intention is to say that employees are not robots. They are not, pieces of furniture that will be managed in one way, right? They'll all be polished on one day. They will all get this on one day. They will all get, a coat this day. They are individual living beings. And therefore, what's important for us is to see how do we really, what's our intention? That's it, right? If you are truly intentioned and well-intentioned as a leader, you would make sure that you have everything in place to make the employees happy as they deliver. I'm not saying compromise on the delivery. A lot of people just say, this is their job, right? They have to do it. They have to come to office. They have to do 8 hours. They have to do this. This is a policy. I mean, those days are gone, I'm telling you. With the new generation, and all of you are also very young, you know it doesn't go well. It just doesn't rhyme well. Even when the teachers say to our children, we don't like it, right? It's one size. So how do we do it in the organization? How do we expect it to be the same in the organization. So you have to change as HR professionals to be more happiness focused, human centric, because the job of the functional manager is to get the job done. Your job is to make sure your most important asset stays happy, healthy, and alive in the system, motivated in the system to do more than what the job description tells you to do it, right? So for that, that's the leadership part. Management part is pretty basic, which is to get the work done, to make sure there's project management, change management, all of that. Leadership actually is much, beyond that, to say how people happily do what you want them to do, right? That's leadership. How do you develop followership so that people happily engage with you and see the same vision as you are seeing, right? Not their own split vision, which is very different from yours. It takes time, it takes effort. But if they see that your leader is genuinely interested in their well-being, wellness, and not just doing it as a check mark activity, which is annual checkup, karke chhod diya. After that, no action taken, no customization. What's the point?
Absolutely.
Right? So, no point actually. And similarly, we do voice of employee surveys. We don't look at the results. What's the point in that? Check mark to get great place to work. Real thing is to really make a culture, as you said, to let employees speak up and say this is what they need. This is what they, really want, because we are in it together. And this whole parlance of they versus management versus employee, they versus us, things will change dramatically in the next 5-10 years, right? Employees today have multiple choices. They are not wedded to us, right? As an organization, they make their intelligent decisions. They prioritize health over career growth sometimes, right? They want to go home happy. They don't want to take tension of the work, right? They have to bring up their children in a very different way than how we were brought up, for instance. So all these changes in the society and our intellect actually ask us to change our mindset as well, right? And truly intention to say, okay, I will do this with this intention and I'll take it to completion. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much for adding more, and it was quite insightful. So you have want to say something?
To add on to what Amit said on wellness, and Mukta, you just said about the stress, work stress. More and more with generations passing, the current generation, the current office environment or atmosphere is quite stressful. The workload, expectation, the deliveries that is expected, timelines, deadlines, are much, much more than my generation when I was their age. Not that we did not have stress, but today I believe it is much, much more. And therefore, the importance, as Amit said, of wellness being an integral part of not just the HR policy, but an organizational policy. If you want, the people to be truly happy, you need to create a stress-free environment. In fact, on a lighter note again, there was a TikTok video which was circulated. An appraisal was going on in some IT company or something, and the HR, one of the things he said, apart from the appraisal sheets of the bosses, also get a medical checkup done. And there was this one guy who was a topper in performance and all, and his health also was showing, very good health, no cholesterol, no TB. So the HR guy said, okay, so no promotion for you, no increment. He said, why? I mean, you're not stressed at all. So that means you've not been doing any work. So I don't think that's the kind of environment that we would like to have in our organizations. And so on that note.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can add one more on that. Like I started my career with the cement industry. I think people who are not having the cement on their dress, they consider they're not working effectively kind of thing. So it's a perception generally. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so in the first question when I asked you try to say that the emotions of the people who are traveling the journey of change and the resistances. So it is not possible to manage that effectively if you don't engage them effectively. So my next question to you is that, how do we keep employee engagement and morale high during the periods of significant transformations or the change programs?
I had mentioned earlier, communicate, collaborate, and commit. So the second part, collaborate, is the way you keep them engaged.
Okay.
When I say collaborate means you break down the vision of that change, what you want, into smaller, easier done tasks, and assign those tasks to smaller teams and give them the ownership to execute that. When you give ownership to a person, they become more passionate about it because they own it. It's my job, it's my deliverable. And when they get that feeling, automatically the deliverables will happen. So ownership which has to come in from the team members, from the persons down the line, for which you need to collaborate. You cannot be a one-man army just dictating, do this, do this, do this. You need to first form your own, maybe think tank, then break it down into smaller groups, smaller task forces, and entrust them with that particular target or timeline, and empower them.
Okay.
That would be the way for engaging the people in ensuring the transformation happens smoothly and within the timelines that we require.
I absolutely agree with you. So empowerment is one of the things which we have to do at all level. So when we do the transformation programs, we also believe in establishing and building a strong change network. So we identify the influences across the organizations. We have now AI-based tools available in the market that will give you an indication that these are the influences within the organization, and leveraging their capability of influence. So we increase the employee engagement across the organizations. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
True. Just to add one more, when your fellow colleague tells you something or explains something to you, you understand it better than an instruction by way of a note or a notification or an email. And that is why we have things like this buddy system, where newcomers are mentored. It helps, when a junior not necessarily in terms of age, but in that organization, when he's working with a senior person, an experienced person, he understands and is able to empathize better.
Okay.
What is the organization's goals, the what and why of these changes, and it makes the whole process much more easier and smoother.
Okay. So I think we also need to take some questions from the audience. So quickly, if I want to ask a add-on question to you, you already covered at large. So just wanted to check again that what advice you would like to give to the emerging leaders who will be guiding the next wave of transformations? Quickly in a minute or two.
Yeah, I think a lot has been discussed. So just to summarize, I would say that be the change, like be the employee that you want to see. As HR professionals, as a leader, put yourself into the shoes of the person, because empathy is going to be one important thing for all leadership metrics measurement. Okay, so leaders will be measured by the degree of empathy because of the demographic change, diversity of our talent pool, the multi-generational talent. Empathy will be one, because you will not be able to say, this is how we do it, right? They will question you, right? So better get away from that as early as possible. So try to be as empathetic. That is one, I would say. I rate that very high in my leaders as I look at succession planning. Second thing I look at is influence and impact. Are you really convinced, as RANGARAJ said, that you are convinced what you're trying to do, what your organization wants to do, what's the change, what's the end goal, what's the vision? If you are convinced and you're not able to communicate it to your groups, you're not convinced. Okay, so it's about influencing and impacting and making everyone from top, from bottom, realize that they are an important part of that mission and vision that you have. Because nobody wants to be I am just doing this, I'm just doing HR, I'm just doing technology. It's all coming together. Remember the orchestra thing. So it's all orchestrated, and that's what the leader should be able to bring everybody together, manage conflicts, empathize, create support for people, modify policies to be able to live up to the generational expectations, etc.